Hello, Internet, and welcome to episode number 226 of the Comic Watchers Show. He's Chad, I'm Matt, and we are back this week to talk all things SDCC 2024 slash Eisners. Chad, how the hell are you?
It's nice to be able to sit outside again.
Right? Listen, I don't know about how it's going for you guys in upstate New York, but here in Oklahoma, the heat dome is finally dissipated, and it's not horrifyingly miserable. So,
it's nicer out. It's nicer out here than it is in the room that I usually record in. So,
there you go. Awesome. Well, San Diego Comic-Con kicked off today. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the announcements so far, which there's been a few. Nothing huge. Yeah. Nothing hugely earth-shattering, and we're going to talk about this year's Eisner nominees. So, Chad, what would you love to dig into first?
Let's go over some news. That way, when we have another comic watcher
That's right.
possibly join us, we can get his opinions on the Eisners.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. Yeah, we are going to be getting joined by Comic Watch's own Dustin Gable in about 30 minutes or so. So we look forward to that. Just before the show started, Chad and I were talking about how we have no idea what some of our people that we've worked with for years on the site actually look like. So I hope for Dustin's sake, he's not some hideous Judd. But if he is, he'll be in good company. Hi!
Even if he is, we still love him because he's a workhorse.
Absolutely. There are a few people on the site that consistently bust it out as much as he does. So, yeah. So, Chad, what have you heard so far coming out of San Diego? I know we had an announcement from Gail Simone that she's going to be writing 007.
Interesting. I can see that. I mean, it can be very secret six-ish, I guess. What kind is that for Dynamite?
That is going to be for Dynamite. Yeah.
Good to know.
Good to know. Yeah. So I don't know how I feel about that, honestly. Gail's obviously a tremendous writer. But she's rarely, if ever, does this like straightforward, straight ahead, high octane action like you want with 007 action / intrigue. But
I think she also announced that her first novel is coming out, Red Sonja.
Yes. She's done a whole ton of Red Sonja stuff over there at Dynamite too, so that's quite fitting. And then of course, Uncanny X-Men launches here in just a couple more weeks. So, yeah, it's a good time to be Gail Simone, to be a Gail Simone fan. We look forward, of course, to all things forthcoming from her. So, let's see.
Oh,
what else
we did have that. We did have that teaser for whatever Idaho's best comic publisher is from our friends over at Don't Hide PR.
That's true. Melissa Mazzaros tipped us off to an exclusive. Are we allowed to talk about that yet?
Nope.
No? Okay. Well,
the announcement will be made Saturday evening.
Okay. Good times. Of course,
but
we know
it
what
could be
it
about
is.
Idaho.
We'll talk about it. Do what?
Yeah, I'm hoping it's a comic book history of Idaho. I mean, after watching the trailer that's on our website, then
it might be right. It might be the statistics that there's more survivalists, right-wing survivalists at Idaho per capita than any other state. That would be exciting.
But that should be interesting to find out, and I think the reveal will be interesting for many people.
So, Marvel's got a big panel planned this year, don't they, over at Hall H?
Yes, they probably do. I mean, they always tend to show up. I mean, they, have...
Well, they debuted a pretty cool new logo that's got Deadpool on it, too.
Well, hasn't the movie released or releasing soon? Or
It opens nationwide tomorrow. I meant like an actual Marvel logo. I wish we could.
No,
I wish we could actually like pull it, like show it to you because it's pretty cool. It's actually so unlike some of the more recent ones, which have focused more heavily on the actors from the MCU. This one has got art of various like modern artists. I'm pretty sure. Crap. I just drew a blank on who's drawing Incredible Hulk right now. Nick
Klein.
Thank you, Nick Klein. Yeah, Nick Klein's Hulk is in there, and some other good stuff as well. So, yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's a logo, but it's cool. Let's see. So, we've got we're expecting to hear more news from different various TV shows, like AMC's Interview with the Vampire. Rings of Power is going to have an update on season 2, and then we've got
season 2 is $2 billion.
$2 billion, and that many more divisive Tolkien fans as well. So
going back to Marvel, they had a slew of Star Wars announcements. Steve Orlando is going to be doing a 4-issue Ewok book. Alex Segura is going to be doing the. I think it's going to be kind of. I don't know if you've read Aftermath, the trilogy.
Mm-mm.
It's what takes place between Return of the Jedi and the start of The Force Awakens, and it includes the Battle of Jakku, where Rey lives, and so it seems like
which looks nothing like Tatooine.
Yeah.
Looks and functions nothing like it.
I hope we meet some of the, and I'm sure we'll probably meet some of the characters that are in that series. I mean, which are but I think it's also going to be focusing on Luke and Leia and the usual suspects too.
Well, good. I know that technically speaking, all the old EU stuff went away, but man, it would have been so great if in some way, shape, or form we could have gotten an adaptation of Dark Empire 1 and 2 that Dark Horse published like 30 plus years ago now.
Not to go off on a tangent, but I mean, there's some things that Dark Horse did really well with the Star Wars licensing. And there's some stuff that just kind of was overkill, and so
yeah. Well, I mean, when you hold a license, and this is something that Marvel Publishing is eventually going to have to contend with. When you hold a license for so long, there's only so much blood you can get from a stone, right? And I feel like maybe, especially in the last 5 years or so, that Dark Horse had that Star Wars license, there was a lot of that. Like, it just didn't feel anymore like it was as special as it had been. And part of it too was, that was after the prequel, or prequel trilogy had come out. So it was less in like Star Wars fans had no other content, right? Part of the reason in my mind that earlier Dark Horse Star Wars stuff from like 91, 92, 93 holds up and is well remembered as it is because there was only the trilogy at the time, right? And of course, EU novelizations like the Thrawn trilogy and stuff like that. But at the same time, there wasn't just like this wealth of Star Wars content to drink deep from, so to speak. So, yeah,
I like how they mine the Old Republic, and that's still a fertile ground that's can be made canon. Because you have the Skywalker saga, then you have the High Republic, and Charles Soule, I guess his run with Star Wars is coming to an end because over the past few years, his Star Wars series have been kind of taking place in between the gaps of the
Right.
A New Hope and then Empire and then Empire and
Mhm.
Return of the Jedi, and those are coming to an end in September.
Yeah. And don't forget Greg Pak's superb Darth Vader
Hmm.
to
Yep.
the companion book for that. And they've been quietly winding down stuff too. I mean, Dr. Aphra ended, Bounty Hunters ended, the slew of mini character focus miniseries like Yoda and Chewbacca have all kind of come to an halt. So it's good that Marvel is like, okay, we've got these other corners of the sandbox that we can play in now. Let's do that, right?
Hmm. And
And
I mean, they've been playing in the High Republic, High
yeah,
Republic era too, and I'm trying to get into the High Republic. I just being getting into it, 2.5 years, I think, into then I'm just playing catch up, and it's nice to see how everything, kind of interconnects, minus the acolyte a little bit.
I was going to say the Acolyte may or may not have thrown a lot of wrenches in people's preconceived notions of the High Republic being this squeaky clean. Everything is, all the good and all the evil is super well defined era that we were led to believe it was.
I mean, that's a theme through the books that the Jedi aren't, and Anthony and I. If people really want to hear this, they can go check out last week's episode. But
Well, just do it. Yeah, give
um,
me a recap because I missed out.
no, I mean, they've shown that the Jedi aren't perfect, and that you know and I think that they should have acknowledged that more within the acolytes,
Yeah,
besides uh, the one reference to the hyperspace disaster in episode 6. So,
right, right, absolutely. I, I, I guess I'm going to follow you down the tangent rabbit hole for a brief second before we actually get back on topic. But I really loved the way that the Sith are not necessarily. I'm like, he's like the stranger. I think that's what we're calling him. Is doing very bad things, but his motives are a lot more gray Jedi than
uh
they are what we commonly think of as Sith. So I think that's an interesting dynamic and duality that a hopeful Acolyte season 2 is going to really get into, because as we know, the big flaw of the Jedi is their whole "don't feel your emotions" crap, and which of course proved to be their downfall. And
well,
and
that and they get out manipulated, but
well, that yeah, but they did kind of have one of their own, and if he had just been able to be like, oh, by the way, I love Padme, and I want to marry her, and then still do my job as a Jedi, and they'd been like, oh, that's cool, good for you. Then things might have gone a lot different in the prequels.
and again, sorry to continue the Star Wars thing, but one thing again, they should kind of mine is going back and actually bringing more of the Darth Bane mythology into canon, and
Hmm.
tell us a little bit more about Sifo Dyas, the Jedi who kind of um, started the clone stuff.
Yeah, I would definitely want to know more about that guy. Yeah, because that's been a mystery for, let's see, 22 years now since Attack of the Clones came out.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah. Yes, it's been 22 years. Sorry, you're old. But let's see what else we got cooking at today. We had Doctor Who panel into the Whoniverse. We had premiere for Walking Dead Dead City season 2. We had Gremlins. Oh, excuse me, I'm a day off. I'm so sorry. Transformers 1 had a new trailer debut, which I realize that I'm not the target audience for this movie whatsoever, Chad. But
I haven't
holy
seen
God,
it. I've only
it's
seen the
a piece
first
of crap.
Transformer movie.
What's that?
I said I've only seen the first Transformer movie.
Well, I mean, you and I are not the target audience for Transformers 1. Let's just leave it at that. And it is very much skewed towards the kiddies. Your son might like it. I don't know. He's what, 6, 7, 8 years old, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it appears to be aimed at that age group. But I mean, whatever. You know what? One of the reasons that Star Wars has been able to proliferate, and I'm going to go back to Star Wars again, I'm sorry, is they've found ways to appeal to different age demographics, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if Transformers is going to do that with Transformers 1, power to them.
We need a Transformers version of PJ Masks.
Yes. That's all I have to say about that is yes. Let's see. We had Percy Jackson in the Olympians panel, which I didn't know anybody cared about Percy Jackson anymore. Quite frankly, I'm definitely out of that loop, but whatevs.
Well, did you say that there was a Doctor Who panel? Did
There
you?
was. Well, no, I'm sorry. That's actually tomorrow. I was
Oh,
looking at the wrong day.
well,
That
speaking of Doctor Who, have you seen the new? Have you finished the new season?
I haven't. I am woefully far behind on Doctor Who.
Hmm.
Are you
Okay.
caught up on it?
Yes, I finished it, and it started off a little strange, but it got better as it went on.
Okay.
It
Well,
got
that's
more.
good. Like, what did you like about it?
Um, it was different seeing a different, more, I guess, animated Doctor. Um, I can't say his name because it's really weird.
You don't want to
But
embarrass yourself. I would be
yeah,
the same way, actually. Um,
but no, I mean, it was interesting. I mean, you don't have any of the regular Doctor Who foils, but hopefully, um, eventually, they'll get to those with him. So
right.
it was good. I mean, if you can make it through the first two episodes, well, first three episodes, episodes 2 and 3, where episode 2 he just runs around yelling "space babies," and episode 3 was the kind of the musical number, which was it was good, but it kind of got old after a while, I guess.
Right, right. So, one of the other things we've got that's percolating right now that we haven't heard much about in terms of like big SDCC announcements is DC All In. Um,
Yeah.
Scott Snyder posted a picture of himself with Batman, and apparently, maybe he's going to be writing. Those were air quotes. You can't hear air quotes. We're there. Um, he's going to be writing more Batman under the Absolute Batman banner, along with Kelly Thompson writing an Absolute Wonder Woman title. So, not really sure what to think about that. I'm not knocking Scott Snyder Batman by any stretch of the imagination, but he's also been committed to doing his own independent books for quite a few years, or for a few years now. And I wonder if he's changed as a writer in such ways that maybe he's not as good of a fit for Batman as he once was, or maybe he doesn't have the same things to say about Batman that he did, during Court of Owls and all that. Which, by the
Now,
way, was well over 10 years ago now.
mhm. Now, is it? Am I correct that this absolute stuff is spinning out of the Absolute Power event?
Well, I don't think it is actually. What I was just looking at, DC All In is what's actually spinning out starting in October, which is going to be another line wide refocus. And I haven't read much yet about it that makes me think it's anything different than their last line-wide refocus,
Hmm.
which in and of itself was on the heels of another line-wide refocus after Dark Knight's Death Metal. So, um,
Well, they're shifting up some of the writings. Tom Taylor's moving to detective.
yes,
Um, I'm trying to think right offhand. Yeah,
so
that's
yeah,
that's
you
the
got
only one
Tom
I can
Taylor.
remember.
Dan Waters is taking over Nightwing. Chris Condon of that Texas Blood fame is going to be taking over Green Arrow from Josh Williamson. Those are the three big ones that stand out in my mind, and all three of those should be top tier books in the hands of those creators. I'm particularly looking forward to Green Arrow.
Yeah, I really need to get back into Green Arrow. That used to, especially during the Mike Grell era, that was my
Mhm.
one of my go-to books.
I have really been enjoying this Josh Williamson run, and I know, it's kind of heresy to some people to sing the praises of Josh Williamson, but um, he's not a bad writer, people. Um, he has done some stuff with Ollie that you just would not expect from a Green Arrow story, which is why I think it works
Hmm.
because it's nothing that you've read before, but it still speaks to the core and the heart of the character.
Okay, I definitely have to check it out because I think in the beginning of the series, wasn't he like trapped on a in space or something on a
Yeah, he's
planet?
kind of bopping around through the time and space at the beginning, which who expects to see that from a Green Arrow story, right?
It's not really street level.
No, not at all. But and he's had Sean Isaacs on art, and then in more recent issues, Phil Hester has returned to the fold, which chef's kiss. Of course, we all know and love Phil Hester's art in general, but some of us have been around long enough that we remember when he was kicking it with Kevin Smith back in, what, 2000,
Yeah.
2001? Whew, man, my old man bones just started creaking a little bit just saying that. But yeah, Phil Hester rules. So, okay, I don't think we've had just a heck of a lot of other big announcements break out. There was a What We Do in the Shadows farewell tour kickoff for their final season, season 6. Chad, are you a fan of that show?
Yes, but I'm like way behind.
Okay.
I can't remember what season it is. I think I'm on season 4 or 5. I think 4.
Okay.
It's
You're not
wherever
terribly far behind.
when after they all like leave to go do their own thing and then they come back.
I gotcha.
Um,
Yeah, I have to say
I
that's one that I have not been particularly drawn to just for one reason or another. So I'm just going to have to take your word for it on that.
what's his name? He's the energy vampire. He's the one that I really enjoy. Rob Corddry as
Oh, Rob
V.
Corddry's in it? I didn't even know that. See, that's how
I
out of
think
that
that's
loop
him.
I am. I love Rob
So
Corddry.
so
And then Marvel Studios had a Ultimate Deadpool and Wolverine Celebration of Life panel this evening at 6:30, which God only knows what that entailed. Um, I'm sure it was hilarious. You know, it's funny because there's a Deadpool and Wolverine movie that comes out tomorrow, and yet they've also got this panel. It's almost as if they were timing it to hype this particular film. So
probably
probably, probably. Um,
probably also
I don't know
schedule
about
the release to be around San Diego or some other
yeah.
big confab.
Well, it is interesting that because Marvel's slate has gotten shaken up so much, this is the only movie that they've got coming out this year. And I think most people will agree that that's a good thing. Like they kind of needed to tap the brakes a little bit in terms of their output.
Yeah, I mean it's. I don't think I still haven't seen um, what is it, Black Panther 2.
Oh, now
I
that
think
one's a good one.
I'm
But
sure it is.
Quantumania, um, and the Marvels both kind of suffer from this feeling that they were rushed, particularly Quantumania, in a lot of ways. And like you can definitely tell with the CGI in both of them, the CGI just doesn't look like it's finished.
Mhm.
Um, it's a whole mess, and I mean some of the behind the scenes stuff that's happened at Marvel in the last year or so is pretty well documented, and I don't want to necessarily get into it, but suffice to say, all the prognosticators are sitting here talking about, oh, it's the death of the MCU. It's not.
Go woke, go broke.
Right, those fools. Um, yeah, you don't want to get me
They,
on that tangent, but
they
uh,
seem to be in the Star Wars thing too. So
right, yeah, forget those fools. Um, just ugh, gross. But Marvel taking a little bit of time to put a little more care into this movie, and whatever comes next is good, right?
mhm.
We don't want them or anybody to push the content out too quickly, and and that expedited process make it less than it should be, which is a little bit of what's happened to Marvel, I think. So here's to them
And
getting back
are
on.
they even doing that on the television shows? Because I think the isn't the next movie like the Captain America one?
Yes. Captain America Brave New World comes out February 2025. That trailer dropped a couple weeks ago. We got to look at the Red Hulk. We got to look at Giancarlo Esposito as possibly GW Bridge, although that's just speculation at this point. It kind of looks badass. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Marvel. Well, when it comes to the Captain America movies, like they've always been the crown jewel of, or one of the crown jewels of Marvel's stable.
true.
Like they just carry those in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies in my mind. But so yeah, this will be the fourth quell, I guess, in the MCU after Thor: Blood and Thunder, or excuse me, Love and Thunder, which was not such a great movie. And we could spend a whole episode of me bitching about it, but we won't, because this is about SDCC. So, what are you
Now,
looking forward to?
have there been any DC like entertainment announcements? Because I know that they have oh yeah, Kite Man just dropped. Which Monday we have the guy who scores that show coming on.
Yes, that should be amazing. Um, But no, I guess I probably need to watch some Kite Man Hell Yeah this weekend so that I know what the heck I'm talking about.
Hell yeah.
I got to tell you, I'm such a fan of the risks that Max is taking with some of the DC properties. Like their
Mhm.
Harley Quinn show is excellent to a degree that I don't think anybody would have predicted. And then from that it begets Kite Man. Are you kidding me? Like nobody, and I mean nobody, was asking for a Kite Man show. Absolutely, maybe Tom King, but but he's the only one. Damn it! Um, I I I just have to really tip my hat to them for some of the ballsier moves that they've made in general.
And
So
they've also kind of, I guess they've kind of put their animated films, which were really good, kind of, I guess, aside. Am I right?
not necessarily, because they just recently came out with Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 2.
Oh, I heard part one wasn't that great, but
It
I'll
wasn't.
have to
It
watch it.
sucked. That's another thing we could, like, if you want to do an episode of Matt bitching about things, that would be towards the top of my list.
Episode
But nobody
227.
nobody wants that. We want to put positive vibes out into the universe wherever possible, right?
Hmm.
So screw all that noise. Um, but hey, We are 30 minutes in, so let's get back on track a little bit and talk about this year's Eisner Award nominees. What say
Sure,
you? Okay.
sure.
Okay. Well, so like we've done in years past, I'm gonna kind of just hit the highlights of the bigger categories. So first up, best single issue or one shot. We've got Horologist by Jared Lee and Cross. Never heard of that one. Nightwing number 105, which was the one that was told from Nightwing's perspective, by Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo. Star Trek Day of Blood, Shax's Best Day by Ryan North and Derek Charm. The Superman 2023 Annual by Josh Williamson and Various. And then Sweet Paprika, Black, White, and Pink by Mirka Andolfo and others. I will tell you, I think that barring the fact that I don't know anything about the Horologist, I think Nightwing's the one to beat.
Yeah, I think for the most part, Tom Taylor's run on that series has been outstanding. Sure, there's been a couple issues where you kind of missed the mark, but that
Yeah,
was a
human.
very unique book. What was the Superman annual? Can you look that up really quickly?
Yeah, let me check into it real quick. Let's see.
And I'm trying to think was it an event? Part of an event?
No.
I don't know.
Let's see. So, according to DC's website, Lois Lane is now editor-in-chief of the Daily Planet. At Heart Show, she'll always be an investigative reporter. And lately, Metropolis has had a whole new set of secrets she must uncover, even if it means investigating her own husband, Superman. I got to tell you, this one kind of flew under my radar.
Yeah, I mean, usually annuals usually do, unless it's something that I'm actually reading, because usually they tie into one big story for the
But yeah,
the
that seems
summer.
really random, and it kind of makes me curious to go find a copy somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
definitely. I mean, I think Tom Taylor's the one that you'd have to put your money on, and obviously I don't read enough because I haven't read those other ones.
right. Okay, moving on. Best continuing series. A whopping 4 out of 5 nominees in this category are DC books. I don't think I've ever seen that. But whether it's DC, Marvel, or Image, or whoever. But we've got So we've got Birds of Prey by Kelly Thompson and Leonardo Romero, Nightwing by Tom Taylor and Bruno again, Shazam by Mark Waid and Dan Mora, Transformers by Daniel Warren Johnson, and Wonder Woman by Tom King and Daniel Sampier. Chad,
it's a dead race, I think.
So I want to pick at it a little bit. I think the one that stands out is Transformers to me. I think Wonder Woman is going to get is probably a fair second place because it's easily the best thing Tom King's done in maybe ever. I'm not saying that to talk shit, but it's a Tom King book for people that don't necessarily like Tom King. But man, Daniel Warren Johnson, he is a once in a generation talent. And anytime he picks up his pen, pencil, and typewriter all at the same time, it becomes something really special. And Transformers has been really special, even though in the second arc, Jorge Corona has taken over the art for him. That book is just, there's just nothing else like it out there.
Is that part of the Energon universe or whatever?
It really is.
Yeah, I haven't really had a chance to dip my toe into it.
Listen, get the trade and just sit down and prepare to be blown away. Okay,
I mean,
all right.
I love the Transformers stuff. I mean, I remember the IDW stuff and
Yeah,
all that.
it was good stuff. Okay, best limited series: The Cull by Kelly Thompson and Mattia De Iulius. Godzilla: Here There Be Dragons by Frank Thierry and Inaki Miranda. Kill Your Darlings by Ethan Parker, Griffin Sheridan, and Robert Quinn, who, by the way, Bob Quinn has been on this show. Super nice guy. Okay. Pee Pee Poo Poo by Carolyn Cash. No clue on that one, my friend. And then Superman Lost by Christopher Priest and Carla Pagulayan.
I didn't,
Um,
I didn't really like Superman Lost. I think I dropped out after the first couple issues.
I read the first issue just to get a feel for it. Excuse me. Currently, just decided to wait for the trade on it. I'm a big Christopher Priest fan. However, if you don't like Christopher Priest, it's not going to be for you. And he's a divisive writer. Like, I get it. If you don't like Christopher Priest, he's got his own jam and he sticks to it.
I don't particularly don't like him. This story was just, I don't know. I couldn't get into the story.
I feel you. This feels to me like Kelly Thompson's having a bit of a moment. So I'm just going to kind of break and say the Cull is probably going to win this one.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see her win something. I mean, I would, when we talked to her, I mean, what she did with Birds of Prey is also worthy of being recognized too.
Oh, I absolutely love that book. Let's see. Our next category is Best New Series. We've got Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees by Patrick Horvath. Black Cloak by Kelly Thompson and Meredith McLaren. Local Man by Tim Seeley and Tony Fleece. Phantom Road by Jeff Lemire and Gabriel Hernandez Walta. And Somna, a bedtime story by Becky Cloonan and Tula Lote. First of all, let me just say, good on Distillery pulling out a major category Eisner nomination in their first year of publishing.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Yep. That's awesome. So we talked our asses off about Local Man last year. It started after the nominees for the 2023 Eisners had already been. It was too late for it to be a contender, so that's why it's a contender this year, even though it's been around for almost a year now. I don't know, Chad. What do you think on this one? I've got a couple of thoughts, but
I haven't read it, but I think the buzz is with Beneath the Trees.
Yeah, I kind of think so too. Local Man, I think it's one of those ones that creators are loving, and for whatever reason, it's not connecting with fans as much. Like, I know, I can tell you at my LCS, I'm the only person subscribed to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like my guy, he only orders a copy of it for me, which sucks because it's a tremendously brilliant book.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I kind of feel like this is Patrick Horvath's year, and Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees is really just getting under people's skin in a good way.
Again, it's both that and Local Man are on my list of things I really need to take a look at when I have time.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. So I'm going to skip over the next couple of categories because it's early readers, kids, and teens.
Although with one of the maybe I think it's in the autobiography, Eisner, the Jared, I forget what it is. I can't say his last name. I can't pronounce names. But I've talked to him, and he's a really nice guy. He's done the young Star Wars stuff, and that'd be nice to see him win.
Right.
So
no, I get it.
I think it's in the best memoir. I think.
Okay.
Something about summer camp.
Something about summer camp. Okay, I'm going to keep my eyes. Oh, graphic memoir. Sunshine, How One Camp Taught Me About Life, Death, and Hope by Jarrett J. Krososka. I hope I didn't butcher that last name. It looks Czechoslovakian, maybe? or
No.
Ethiopian in
I
some
don't know.
form.
He lives over in Massachusetts, so he's kind of
Oh,
local.
well, silly me. But let's see here. All right, best writer. This is one of the big ones here. Stephen Graham Jones for Earth Divers. Mariko Tamaki for Roaming from Drawn and Quarterly, which I thought I knew everything Mariko Tamaki was putting out, and I've never heard of this. So interesting. Tom Taylor for Nightwing and Titans. Kelly Thompson for Birds of Prey, Harley Quinn, Black, White, and Redder, Black Cloak, The Cull, It's Jeff, and Captain Marvel. Mark Waid for Batman and Superman, World's Finest, Shazam, and World's Finest Teen Titans. G. Willow Wilson for Poison Ivy and Hunger in the Dusk. I'm going to say it's going to be a toss-up between Kelly Thompson and G. Willow Wilson.
I don't know. I think what Mark Waid's done with World's Finest has been really interesting and a nice twist on that.
Not disputing that by any stretch of the imagination. Oh, hey, we've got Dustin popping in. Hi, Dustin. Oh, can't hear you. You're muted.
Okay, sorry about that. Hey guys, how you doing?
Hi, we're good. We are. Thank you for joining us. We are just kind of going through the Eisner Awards now, and it is we're talking about best writers. So we've got Stephen Graham Jones for Earth Divers, Mariko Tamaki, Tom Taylor, Kelly Thompson, Mark Waid, or G. Willow Wilson. And personally, I think it's a toss-up between Kelly Thompson and G. Willow Wilson. But man, what a stacked category!
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would agree with you. Thompson or Wilson is kind of the front runner there. I could see Tamaki pulling it too. Chad, I get what you were saying about Mark Waid, but to me, it feels like he is straight Big Two right now, and I feel like having a mix of indie and or non Big Two and Big Two is definitely going to help out those three really.
Definitely.
So I think Hunger in the Dusk. I've written about it pretty extensively. I think it's one of like the best launches, and it feels like it kind of ushered in a second wave for IDW's originals.
Yeah,
and then anytime Kelly Thompson's.
I was saying earlier, Dustin, that Kelly Thompson seems to be having a moment because not only is she just simply writing some of the best books out there right now, but her name is all over these nominations this year.
Yeah, it feels like Kelly Thompson's obviously been on everybody's radar. I mean, hell, she just came off of a 50-something issue run of Captain Marvel about a year ago.
Yep.
Is that about right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I mean, consistently she's been doing the work, but it feels like she's finally gotten that terminal velocity out of like second stringer books. Like I love West Coast Avengers, I love Hawkeye, but Black Widow was great. Yeah, it's Jeff. But it feels like she's finally getting the opportunity to bat at the big leagues.
Yeah.
On some of these bigger titles, and I think if she wins it this year, it's going to be kind of like the harbinger, especially with the news of her getting Absolute Wonder Woman. I feel like Eisner's might be capitalizing on that rising ship.
I gotta say, you've convinced me. I think Kelly Thompson's the one to beat, although if anyone does it, it'll be G. Willow Wilson.
Plus, she's been on our show, so that's another
and
feather.
And she's been on our show, damn it.
There you go.
We're going to give her lots of props and hope that she's listening, which she's probably not because she's in San Diego living it up.
I don't think she's at San Diego. Remember, she said
that's right.
She doesn't do cons.
She doesn't do cons. Well, she's doing something. Something.
Writing.
All right. So our next category is the best writer / artist, and not the other way around. Emily Carroll, A Guest in the House from First Second. Bill Griffith for Three Rocks from Abrams Comics Arts. Daniel Warren Johnson for Transformers for Image Skybound. Mokumokurin, I probably butchered that, sorry. The Summer Hikaru Died, Volume 1 from Yin Press. Zoe Thorogood, Hack Slash Back to School. Tilly Walden, Clementine Book 2 from Image and Skybound. I gotta go back to what I was saying earlier, guys. It's Daniel Warren Johnson's category to lose on this one. What do y'all think?
I definitely agree. I mean, Zoe Thorogood, just fantastic work all around. Feels like
she won like everything last year.
That is very, very true. And I mean, Hack Slash has been okay. Like, I didn't absolutely love the series. Like, her artwork was great. It just felt like, and I know there were some delays with the book. It felt just a little inconsistent. And I know, like, I think another one, she's being tapped for a lot of projects. I don't know if it was just a slowdown or what, but definitely I think Johnson has it in the bag. Just the buzz around Transformers, and I think consistently that first arc was about as perfect as you can get in an opening arc. And I mean, it feels like while everything has been more or less pretty good out of Energon, that feels like the book that really catapulted and launched it into being kind of like the mega hit. Like, I don't know that Duke, Scarlet, Cobra really have gotten the buzz, the attention, the momentum that Transformers has. And I think that's almost all thanks to Johnson on there. And then Mike Spicer, of course. Johnson, can't. Warren's art is great in black and white, but Spicer ratchets it.
Yeah, most definitely.
Now I'm going to have to read Transformers now.
You see, that's two of us now that can't shut up about it.
Yeah, and I have no nostalgia for it. I did not grow up with Transformers. Did not watch them as a kid. I had a couple, but they weren't like the thing I was into. And even with that disconnect, definitely the series hooked me.
Yeah, I have to say, like, I had Transformers back in their heyday.
I still have the Transformers.
Lucky bastard. But yeah, like G.I. Joe and Ninja Turtles were my things. I just never quite clicked with Transformers the way a lot of other 80s kids did. But this whole series has me really tapped just on it. When a new issue ships, it is at the top of my stack every time. So, okay. Next big category, best penciler / inker or penciler / inker team. All right. We've got Jason Sean Alexander with Herman Eramuspe for Detective Comics and Philadelphia, respectively. Tula Lote for Barnstormers, A Ballad of Love and Murder from Comixology. Inaki Miranda for Godzilla, Here There Be Dragons. Dan Mora for Batman, Superman, World's Finest, and Shazam. Chris Samney for Firepower. And Jillian Tamaki for Romy. It kind of feels obvious to say Dan Mora, but I kind of have to say it'll probably be Dan Mora. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I would
kind of got the working with Wade thing going for him, getting the good scripts, and I really love the way he does the Shazam character.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, he kind of feels. Hold on, let me just make sure I don't. He kind of feels to me, Dan Mora, I mean, like he is picking up the baton from Jim Chung. Like, you remember 25 years ago when Jim Chung, who had been around since the 90s, but like really exploded with Young Avengers and then subsequent work from there. His Dan Morris style feels like it's in that same wheelhouse, and God bless him, he's just killing it all across the board. I mean, none of these other artists are anyone to sneeze at. Tula Lote, please, that anything she paints is amazing. Anything. And by the way, if you guys didn't read Barnstormers, you missed out on the best thing that Scott Snyder's written in like ever. And that's not to dog his other stuff, but it was just that good.
Yeah, I
We've
mean,
already
pretty much
done
all of those.
I have not. Sorry, Dustin, what were you saying?
I was just saying all of those Comixology originals he did were fantastic, but Barnstormers and Canary, I think, were the two standouts.
Yeah.
And, you know, Snyder doing a horror Western and then a sci-fi pulpy, like, aerial romance. Yeah, just fantastic genre pieces in both. No, I would definitely agree with Mora. He feels like the popular favorite, and I mean, he just gets consistently better with every book.
Mm-hmm.
You would think adding more to his plate would, you know, maybe see a little dip in quality here and there. Not at all. It feels like every book he adds, it just gets better. I mean, personally, I bat for Once and Future. I still think is going to be like possibly remembered as his best work, but you know, you could make the argument for pretty much anything he's done.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Any of the DC stuff. I know people love Klaus. I wasn't as, you know, my bias against Grant Morrison is neither here nor there, but
well, I love Grant Morrison, but Klaus didn't click with me.
Yeah, but and then like I said, anything Mora does, and you know, kind of seeing what we came out of the first panel today, him getting a Justice League crack, him working on Superman, it just feels like, again, kind of going back to the Thompson thing, it feels like Mora has definitely been pushed to kind of the upper echelon. I would agree with Jim Chung as kind of a successor. It feels like he's in the same boat Jorge Jimenez was in, you know, a couple years back.
Yeah.
You know, leveling up. Jorge went kind of reverse direction, though. Did the Earth 2 stuff, and then I think that led into him getting Justice League and then doing the Tinian Batman before jumping on for the Zdarsky Batman. Mora, I guess technically Superman and Justice League, we can call them coming at the same time. Superman was announced first, but World's Finest is a Justice League in everything but name for the most part, especially in these last couple of arcs. And then going to, you know, kind of the other big flagship DC book. So I could definitely see that momentum carrying him into there. But yeah, every one of these artists, you could just throw a dart at this category and I wouldn't be mad any of them won.
True story. You know, that's fair. That's fair.
And Rob Liefeld sneaks in for the win.
No, he didn't. No. Okay. Whoops, I went the wrong direction. Sorry. Let's skip ahead to Best Cover Artist. We've got Jen Bartel for A Slew of Things. Evan Cagle for Detective Comics, which, wow, I gotta say, that's, yeah. Jenny Friesen, or Friesen, forgive me if I mispronounced that.
Friesen.
Okay. And E.M. Gist for Expanse Dragon Tooth, another whole slew of things, and Peach Momoko. Man, my heart loves those Detective Comics covers so much. But I gotta say, it's probably going to go to Peach Momoko again.
Agreed.
Yeah. And I don't know. Her stuff is interesting, but I think.
Oh, I'm not mad about it.
No, I just, you know, I'd like to see. I mean, Jen Bartel does some very awesome stuff to look at.
Absolutely. Like, if this category is freaking stacked. I'd like to say what you were just saying, Dustin. You could throw a dart at any one of these, and I wouldn't be mad about it.
Yeah, I have a feeling just I'm peeking ahead at the other categories, and
Mhm.
basically it feels like we're gonna probably echo that sentiment pretty
Right.
frequently going down.
Right. Yeah. Most definitely. Like, look at best coloring. Right. Jordy Belair, Matt Hollingsworth, Lee Luffridge, Dave McCaig, Dean White. I mean, for crying out loud, any one of these would be great.
Yeah, I'm gonna as much as I love Hollingsworth's stuff, I'm
Mhm.
gonna probably pull for Jordy on this one, just because I
Yep.
think that Birds of Prey book has definitely it feels completely different than anything she's colored before.
True.
And I think I wasn't entirely sold on it at the start. Kind of I don't know how to describe it. It was almost like a 3D effect where it was kind of like those like I don't know, pulsating, oscillating like
Mhm.
lines of color around the figures, but it really grew on me as the series went along. I'll just throw out there, I think the only snub here, and I don't know, I haven't looked at the list from previous years, but I don't remember seeing your name pop up too often. Rochelle Rosenberg, I think is
Yep.
severely underlacked here.
Yeah.
Um, I consistently cover Moon Knight, and I think that may be my favorite books or my favorite coloring on any book on the stands right now. I think it's been so consistently great across artists. But with this category, like I think Bel Air will hopefully pull it. But like I said, I wouldn't be mad about anybody.
Right. Yeah. I can dig that. I can definitely dig that. Dave McCaig, he's been on the show before, so I kind of got a peek behind the curtain of how he does his style, and particularly with Walking Dead Deluxe, I've got a lot of respect for the fact that he's having to play around with gray tones and magnify those. Um, but and the Sacrificers is one of the best things Image is publishing right now. So the problem is nobody's talking about either of those books. So I kind of gotta lean in with what you're saying on Jordy this year. Not that anybody else winning would be a snub.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, I want to talk about the letterers because we've got one of our things at Comic Watch is that we always talk about our letterers in the reviews as much as we can. We want let it is its own art form. We want to make sure that those hardworking men and women get the props they deserve. So best letterers, we've got Emily Carroll for A Guest in the House, Benoit Dahan and Lauren Bowes Inside the Mind of Sherlock Holmes, Bill Griffith for Three Rocks, Hassan Otsmane Elhau for Like Everything, um, Richard Starkings also for Everything, and Russ Wooten for A Litany of Stuffs.
I'd like to see Hassan.
I gotta go with
Agreed.
it. I think that's a lock. If it's
Yeah, he is.
a lock, something's wrong because Hassan and Aditya Bidikar, who is not represented here, and that makes me a little grouchy, but is absolutely redefining what a letterer does. And
Yeah,
that
I
period.
agreed. And I think Hassan comes at it from such a smart angle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from a critical approach to it as well. I mean, it's some of the most formally inventive and expressive uses of lettering just across the board. Um, I mean, Russ Wooten is great. I love his stuff.
Yeah,
He's pretty much working on I think everything in the Energon universe right now,
I'm pretty
if
sure you're
not
right.
if not most of it. But yeah, I think that Hassan is just at a completely different stage right now than not
He's
to disparage anybody else, but it just feels like he is operating at another gear from just I think most of the industry writ large, especially, the big two.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
I mean, the only other person I would say that I'm surprised didn't make the list, but it's kind of one of those heavy favorites. Clayton Cowles, I think, is also, you know,
Yep.
here and there. Because I believe no, it was
Travis
Latham.
Latham.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to remember who was on Gods. I think it might have been Travis.
I think you're right.
Another one that really I think was doing something fun and interesting there.
Mhm.
That sad that book has come and gone, but
Yeah, which
uh,
whole nother topic.
yeah, I was gonna say, and maybe he'll get a pull because I don't know with it having a slightly odd release schedule if it'll really be more of next year's conversation.
Right.
But yeah, I could definitely see Hassan taking this no issue.
No, yeah, I absolutely agree. And that's kind of the last of the major categories. So that's not to say that we wouldn't want to spend a whole nother hour talking about the remaining categories, but we've done this for an hour now. And
I'd just like to mention one more really
please
quick.
do.
I think it's the best reprints of collections. I think one of the nominees is the Negro comics, and I have a
Oh,
friend
really?
who has a piece that was included in that book. So Sean Pryor.
Okay, I must have completely overlooked that because that's of historical importance, and I'm glad that it's getting a fresh set of eyes on it. So,
So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So that's our show. Stay tuned to comic-watch.com for more news and updates from this year's SDCC 2024. Dustin Gable, everybody, thank you for jumping in. We appreciate it.
And thank you for all your hard work.
I'm with this.
No, thank you. No, I'm always glad to have the opportunity. Comic Watch has been a great home. I think I'm coming up on 3 years now, so
Woo!
glad to finally be able to crash one of these. My schedule
Absolutely,
usually
dude.
doesn't
We were
let
just
me,
saying
so.
earlier in the show, it's like we don't know what Dustin looks like. So
Well, there you go.
now we know.
You can
Is that
put
a
the
spinner
face
rack
to
behind
the.
you?
Yep, that is my spinner rack.
Yes. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Well, all right, my friends. That's our show for the week. Join us for a special episode on Monday when we're going to talk about the musical genius behind Kite Man. Hell yeah. And until next time, the world might be a crappy place, but it doesn't have to be. Get out there, read something cool, support your local comic book store, and above all else, just don't be a dick. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.